Hello, hello, hello. Y'all, it is day 2 of the 21-day New Year Journal Challenge. I'm Holly with Holly If You Hear Me. And I hope it's been an amazing day for you. And if there's been challenges in your day, I hope that you found some amazing moments. Um, so this is going to be brief, y'all. Been battling a little hoarseness over the last couple of days, and typically by midday it gets better, but it's a little later in the evening, so I want to nurse my voice a little bit. But day 2, y'all. So I hope you saw the prompts for day 2 that I've put on social media as well as underneath the post section of YouTube. And so, day 2, the prompt for today's journal entry is to reflect on a past promise that God has fulfilled in your life and write about gratitude, being grateful for what God has already done. And so, before I came on to talk about day 2 with you all, I went into prayer because I wanted to really understand, what is it about this today that is meant for me to speak to you all. Again, I try not to insert self in these, challenges and these days and these prompts. I want to understand, Lord, what is it that you want your people to hear and know, utilizing me as just that vessel to deliver it. And it was so clear what I was hearing, y'all. Sarah, Sarah. So I want to remind you all of Sarah, Abraham's wife, and the story that is so poignant to the generations and the generations that came from Abraham, and it all started with a promise, right? A promise that God made to Abraham and Sarah. And if you know the story, then you know that Sarah was doubtful when the promise was made that Sarah was going to birth a child. And even though she was, a little bit seasoned in age, even though she thought that her time maybe had passed, even though she didn't see it herself, God promised that that would be so, that that would happen, that it would come to pass. And so when you really dive into it, you know that there was some disrespect, right? Even some kind of laughing, mocking, like, yeah, sure, this is gonna happen, but it came to pass. Now we know that there were some things that Sarah did trying to make this thing be in ways that God didn't ordain it to be, right? To say, well, you know what, I can still get to that if I do it this way, the easy way, the fast way, the quick way, the way that makes sense to me with the person I think he can get it with. But let me, right? Ishmael. My God. Lord, you said Sarah. Lord, you said Sarah. So there's somebody whom God is giving you a vision, my God, whom God is giving you a promise, right? And you're saying to yourself, or you have said to God, or you have made this proclamation that, Lord, I can see how I can get to this. Lord, I hear you, but I think I can do it this way too. And God is saying, my will, my way. You want my promise, my will, my way. And so that is what the Lord wanted me to remind you guys of today, is the story of Sarah, you know. And let's not focus on Abraham. Let's not focus on Isaac or Ishmael. Let's focus on Sarah, y'all. Just imagine the thing, or identify the thing that you have, that you heard. I used an example yesterday about maybe it's a manuscript or a book that God has graced you to be able to write, because your story is that powerful. Your experiences are that powerful. And maybe you are like paralyzed at page 1. Maybe you are trying to see the whole thing instead of just focusing on just getting started. Or maybe you're saying, life is life and I got so much going on. I don't know how I'm going to get this thing going. Maybe I hire somebody to help me do this part and that part. Did God tell you to do that? Did he tell you that you had to do it all yourself, or did he just say trust him? Right? Trust him. Sometimes all we have to do, y'all, is just get started. It's I think about the what was that poem? And I used to hear this poem a lot when I was growing up, The Footprints in the Sand, where you were walking, this person was like walking along the beach, and then they said, but God, every time I was going through the worst parts of my life where things were just not working well for me, I felt alone. I was struggling. I didn't see your footprints. Where were you, God? Where were you in that hardest time? And what did we find at the end of that, y'all? He said, son, daughter, those are the times where I was carrying you. My God, my God, where he was carrying us, y'all. Know that he's going to do that. Know that he's going to do that with whatever it is that he is asking of us, because y'all, remember the purpose, right? The purpose is to advance his kingdom. It is not for your comfort. It's not to have the life you dreamed of. It is to advance his kingdom. But if we seek ye first the kingdom of God, then all those things will come to us, y'all. Okay? His will, his way. Okay. So y'all maybe let's anchor to today in Genesis. So y'all go and read the story, right? About that promise and how Sarah tried to kind of go her own way, right? Create her own path. And what happened? Wound up coming back to what God said, because the goal is to advance his kingdom. That's it. That's it. That's the story. That's the point of it all. And so, as I said, I've been kind of preserving this voice, so I'm not going to stay on too long. I do want to say hey to everybody. I'm so quick sometimes on these that I need to pause and take a moment to just acknowledge y'all for just hanging with me live on these lives. So, Happy New Year. Hello, hello, hello to everybody who is commenting. I do hope that even though I know it's day 2, I do hope that you feel empowered to stay for this journey. And I want to encourage you that as I said yesterday, perfection is the enemy of progress. This is about progress. This is about the process, letting God breathe on the process so that we are becoming, because we are always becoming. None of us is the person that we want to be in God yet, right? Because perfection don't exist in any of us, but we can continuously be on that journey to get there. And so I say that because if you have a day, if you have, like, hey, man, I didn't get that prompt done today, or I didn't pick up my Bible, or I didn't, get in my journal today, there's tomorrow. There's tomorrow. But what we will do is we'll be encouraging one another to make sure that we are being intentional about prioritizing it, because again, it's about developing really healthy disciplined habits, because it's not about 21 days, y'all. This is about developing behaviors that allow us to deepen our trust in God, to deepen our resolve to follow what God is asking of us, so that we do start to see our lives manifest with those promises that God has been making to us. But it takes work. It takes work. It takes work. We got to put in the work. Trust is an action word. That's an action word. So we got to show him that we trust him so that he can keep releasing to us, y'all. But that is it. I pray today has been a great day, that it continues to be a great evening, And I look forward to seeing you guys back online live tomorrow for day 3 of the 21-day New Year Journal Challenge. I love you all. I hope that you are blessed and have a great night.